even know what you are? I'm a superhero.
I want to go ahead and I want to get to the next portion of today's stream. And that is my review for Miss Marvel. So, as you guys know, I've been doing watch parties for the series, for the last several weeks, chat. We did it for, six weeks. And, I was really enjoying the show. I got a lot of positive things to say about this series. I have some negative things to say about this series and things I'm mixed on. And hopefully some things that, could potentially be used in a better way in the future for the character. Because I do like the character of Kamala Khan. That's how I want to start. I want to start on a positive note for the show. If anyone needs kind of like a background of the general premise, chat, we follow the character of Kamala Khan. She's a young American Pakistani girl living in New Jersey, chat. She inherits and seemingly, ordinary bracelet from her family members, but it unlocks her superpowers, chat. And she has various adventures with her friends, and she uncovers a plot with some sci-fi people, and it's like, what, how does she fit into the grand scheme of things of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, chat? And I want to go ahead and I actually want to start off with the positives, and I mentioned Kamala Khan at the top, and I think one of the best things about this show that works, the thing that excels exceptionally well, are its characters. Are its principal cast of characters and the family of Kamala Khan. Iman Vellani, hope I'm saying her name correctly. I feel like she does a great job. She has a wonderful personality. I totally buy her as the character of Miss Marvel, like from the comics. She is an Avengers fangirl. She's a Captain Marvel fangirl, but she loves superheroes, and she's excited about being a superhero. And I feel like they capture that extremely well in her performance. And she's like a goof. She's a goof. She's a nerd, and I think that's really cute. I love her relationship with her family and with her friends. I feel like they handled that very, very well. Aside from her performance, and she does a great job by the material that she's given. Certainly the comedic stuff and also the more heavy dramatic moments. I feel like she's great. She's an absolute 100%. She's an absolute star. And I think the supporting cast, most of the supporting cast, does a really good job. Matt Lintz, who plays her friend. And, simp, as I call him, Bruno Corelli, which apparently Matt Lintz was one of the people that they were considering for Spider-Man, chat, in the MCU, which, Peter Parker, which eventually went to Tom Holland. And if you look at this guy, it's like, oh my God, he looks like Tom Holland, he acts like Tom Holland, he sounds like Tom Holland. They were obviously looking for a type, okay? And he's pretty much Peter Parker in everything but name. Like, he's incredibly intelligent. He's a science whiz. He has multiple jobs trying to meet ends meet. He's able to balance everything. He's obviously in love with this girl, Kamala Khan. She's completely unaware of that fact, which I'm kind of like, come on, which is a little weird to me. It's like, come on, she's got a hots for the other guy. She's got a hots for Steamy McSteamy, or where the hell that kid's name is. Hot McMahon Muffins, chap. I really liked him in the show, and I liked his relationship with her, and I imagine that'll eventually lead to a romance later on. But I like the dynamic that they had. And also, you have the various actors who comprise her family. We have Zenobia Shroff and Mohan Kapoor, chap, who play Kamala Khan's mother and father respectively. I feel like they do a great job. They really just show you a perfect view into this family's life and how they bring up the cultural aspects and just, the dysfunction of the family, but you also showcase why they clearly love each other. It really works extraordinarily well. I thought they did a great job. Zenobia Shroff, I I recognized her before. I believe, I could be wrong, I could be incorrect, but I believe she also plays Kumail Nanjiani's mother in The Big Sick. She does an excellent job there. Does another excellent job here. There's so many great scenes of the dad, too, because he's kind of a goof, but he's also, like, very caring. He's in one of my favorite scenes in the show, chat. They finally did it. They brought in the fruit pies, the hostess fruit pies. I did not think Miss Marvel would be the Marvel series, the Marvel movie, whatever, to do that, but thank God for Mohan Kapoor, chat, as Yusuf Khan. He fucking did it. Hulk couldn't do it. Captain America couldn't do it. Iron Man couldn't do it. Spider-Man couldn't do it. But Yusuf Khan, he could do it. And I love that. I love that. And they killed the fuck out of those fruit pies, too. They blew that place up, Jay. It was horrible. Also, talking about, like, the cultural aspects of the show and the family, I really feel like this series does diversity right. I think it's diversity done right. Because one of the things I've noticed with Disney is they often come across as tryhards. I think a lot of these companies often do. A lot of these corporations do. Like, yeah, no, we're very inclusive. We love diversity. We love to introduce our first gay character in Cruella de Vil. It's this tertiary character who has 2 lines, and they're also gay. All right, thank you, everyone. We're going to get ourselves a pat on the back. Pride Month. That's kind of what they do, and I feel like that's really patronizing and kind of demeaning. But here, I feel like it's done right where they're just showing this is what the family is. Like, if you have a family, like, if you have a family from another country, if you came over, like, you're going to carry your culture over there, but you're going to immerse and intermingle with American life. And I feel like they do that extremely well here. The cultural aspects of the show are very good. I feel like this is a nice show for people who might be unfamiliar with Pakistani culture or Pakistani families and also history. Like, I really like learning about the partition between Pakistan and India and how that relates to the family and how that's kind of just, it's like, for them, it's like, oh, it's part of their nomenclature. For us, I'm like, wait, what's that about? And I like how they do it, and they don't bash you over the head with it. It's just normal everyday life, and I really like that. I thought they did that great. And also how they portray Muslims in the show. Kamala Khan, her family, they are Muslim Americans. And I thought it was, it's so refreshing to see, because you don't really, again, you don't see Muslims in a positive light very often in superhero content, really, in genre, especially certainly in genre things. Like, when you, like, Chad, what comes to your mind when you think of, like, Muslim actors in movies? Certainly in genre movies, what do you see them as? You know how they particularly portray them? As the villain. They're the bad guy. They're the terrorists. They're blowing something up. That's what they do. And it's like, I was like, I mean, why do that? That's always what's been portrayed. Now, I mean, there's some exceptions, obviously, in Marvel. Obviously, in Iron Man, even though in the first Iron Man he's fighting terrorists. But we're introduced to his friend. I forget the character's name off the top of my head, but the person that inspired him really to become Iron Man, a very important character in Tony Stark's life. And I was like, oh, that's very positive representation. He was a good character. I thought he did a good job. But we haven't really seen anything since that time. Maybe a couple things, but nothing that is sticking out in my mind. And so in this case, I thought it was really cool to see Muslims portrayed in a really positive light, but also at the same time, because we also through Kamala Khan's various friends addressing criticisms of the culture and of the religion and how it treats women. I thought that was really nice as well. Yinsen, thank you. Hope Yinsen, thank you so much. Like, I forget the character's name, but we also have Kamala Khan's friend in the show, and who's running for the position of, like, the mosque board. I thought that was really cool. I think her name is Nakia in the show. Yasmin Fletcher. I like that. I thought that was really nice. It wasn't the kind of thing where it's like, oh, it's everything's perfect. It's like, no, we're actually going to take the time and say, like, yeah, there's some issues here. There's some problems here. But, they're trying to be a little more progressive, trying to get, like, a woman in a position of power who is very much a Muslim, a practicing Muslim, but, wants to do right by the mosque too, but wants to innovate. And I think that was really neat. Those are the things about the show that I think work really well. As I said, I described it last time, and I never meant this facetiously, never meant this sarcastically, but I kind of like this Disney Channel original series vibe the show is giving off. It kind of reminded me to a certain extent of shows like Boy Meets World, where it had its comedic stuff, no doubt, but it also delved in some drama and some darker material and the dysfunctions of family and friendships, and I felt that show nailed it, but also giving us a different cultural perspective that we're not used to seeing in a genre show, right? the problem is that this is a genre show. This is a show about a superhero, and I feel like a lot of that stuff inevitably doesn't really work very well by the time we get to the end of the series. Not that like all of it doesn't work. There's some fun stuff, no doubt. And I like what they could possibly be hinting at. Well, Ms. Marvel, well, when they outright say what she is at the end. I'm interested, and I want to talk about this later on after the end of my general kind of thoughts and spoiler review about what we could potentially see with her. But I feel like a lot of the mythology that they introduced in this show was a little muddled, and the superhero shenanigans didn't exactly work very well. You know, I was giving the show the benefit of the doubt because, listen, they do change the aesthetic of her powers. In the comics, Miss Marvel, she kind of, it's like if you were to combine Giant Man and Mr. Fantastic, that's what Miss Marvel's powers would be. She's super stretchy and she can grow and biggin, as she says, which they say in the show. And they don't show it that way in the series. It's more of this particle diamond creation thing. I don't even know how to explain it really, but it's like she creates these diamond particles, right? And you know, first she can blast things and she can walk on them and hop on them, and then later on she can make a whole suit of them. And, you know, listen, you only get so much money for these shows, I know, but you're goddamn Disney. And I felt like a lot of those scenes when she's using her powers weren't always the best looking. I mean, some people probably didn't mind them. I mean, for a while I was like, I gotta go with it. I'm gonna roll with it. I wasn't the biggest fan of the aesthetic of those things. Even though there were a couple cool action sequences in the show, I did like them. But it's like, okay, you know, I'm interested to see how they're going to use those powers in the Marvels, which is the next thing we're probably going to see her in, Chad, which is basically Captain Marvel 2, with Brie Larson, and also the character of Photon, which was introduced in WandaVision. But my one criticism where I stand by this, I'm like, okay, this is just not working, is the villains. I don't even know who the villains are. Hard light projections. That's what it's called. Hard light projection. Yeah. That's good. That's a good word for it. Very nice term for it. But the villains, the clandestine, you know, which I thought like, oh, these people are Kree. I guess they're not Kree. I thought they were Kree. I was like, oh, they're Kree. Okay, sure. But now they're the clandestine, and they're from some secret world and dimension, and they want to get back home because they got stuck here. And I'm like, okay. But then when they try to get back home, they all die. And I'm like, what the hell's happening? What just happened? Very confused. I feel like they rushed the villains and they were just doing bad stuff for the sake of doing bad stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, this wasn't working for me. The villains here were very, very weak and very ill-defined. Like, I liked learning about, as we know, again, when they have a whole episode that's at least a good portion of an episode, which is set in the past, which I thought was pretty cool. When we learn about Kamala Khan's great-grandmother. And I thought that was very good, and how she was from the interdimensional world, and how she found love here, and then she had a kid and everything. I like that. That was fun. I like learning about them that way. But outside of that, I was like, yeah, I don't know who any of these people are. I don't get it. There's Belt Guy. I love Belt Guy. He was very bad at his job, chat, but he worked that belt harder than I've seen anyone work a belt before. That was fucking nuts what he tried to do with that belt. Never worked, though. Never worked. Kept missing, chat, but he kept trying. He kept trying his goddamn best. And also, you know, and this is not really a critique on the quality of the show. Not at all. But I feel like Disney really dropped the ball in how they chose to release this. I feel like this show's release schedule really hurt its ratings because they decided to drop this show around the same time. Did they drop it around the same time or like right after the second episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi? I'm like, that was a huge mistake. Listen, I'm not even talking about how I feel about Obi-Wan Kenobi right now. You want to hear my thoughts? You can check out my, worst of the TV shows of the year, which this is not. Ms. Marvel's not one of those. Not on that level. Not in any case. I ended up liking the show, but it has some problems. But that took away from, I think, excitement in viewers because you were so heavily marketing Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you drop it right in the middle when Obi-Wan Kenobi's still going on. I like that. That's not fair to that show, which people know who Obi-Wan Kenobi is. They know, like, I mean, the character's been around. The character himself has been around since 1977, and you have an actor coming back, a beloved actor, recasting, coming back to play that character after, not playing him for nearly 20 years. And so, yeah, that's where fans' eyes are going to be, and that's where the mainstream audience is going to be. They're going to be looking at that. So I feel like that was, not the show itself's fault, not at all, but that was a fault. That was the fault of Disney. You had these shows cannibalizing each other. And it didn't work. It didn't work. And sometimes because it was weirdly, they released it on like the same night. And I was like, what are you doing? It was very odd. Very, very odd. So kind of my overall impressions of it, I did like it. I like the Kamala Khan character. I've always liked Miss Marvel. I feel like, she's just like this ball of energy. She's like, I'm just happy to be here. And it's like, there's the wholesomeness and the earnestness that comes off of her that I find really endearing. She's a very endearing character. And so I'm not one of those guys who's like, I never want to see her. No, I want to see her again. I want to see her. I don't know if we'll get a second season, but I would hope if we do that they improve upon some of the things. Like they get a villain. If I were to say how to address the complaints that I've had, number one, get at the very least, give me a really compelling, interesting villain to have her go up against, one that's really personal. And they try to do that with the kid, the person she falls in love with, and I'm like, yes, this isn't really working for me. But I need something really different. At first, they're kind of thinking maybe damage control, but they kind of did away with that. As an allegory for the United States government, going after Muslims. But I don't know. I think that's one of the first things that I would, because okay, we need to have a really compelling villain to be a personal threat to her and to her family, and one that she feels really emotionally invested in. I feel like that's definitely number one. It's like, let's do that. Let's work on that. And then, the powers thing, maybe you can change them up, change the aesthetic up. Maybe her powers are evolving because she's a mutant. She's mutating, and so her powers are changing over time. So maybe try a different aesthetic for the powers. Those are the two big things I would say. But, where does that's so overall, like I would give it, it's a matinee. It's a fun matinee chat. I think it's a real good time. You're not gonna feel like you waste your time with this show. I feel like it introduces a really cool character and a lot of fun supporting characters, and it shows a side of it portrays people in genre roles we often don't see them in, and I think that's fun. I think it does a good job with that. But where are we now? Where are we now with this character? Where does she fit in the grand scheme of things? Obviously, next time we see Miss Marvel, and I imagine some of her supporting cast, it will be in the Marvels with Brie Larson and as Captain Marvel, and also the character of Photon. I don't know. I'm not really sure what the plot of that movie is going to be. I imagine it'll still do with the Kree, maybe the Kree Skrull War, perhaps, because obviously as the show ends with two big things. One, which I do want to get to, but one of the big endings is where when she puts on the bracelet, as I knew it would be, it's Kree technology, and she is switched out for Captain Marvel. She teleports in one direction, Captain Marvel goes into where she was. She's like, oh my God, I'm in a crazy girl's bedroom. She is obsessed with me. She wants to wear my skin. And I'm like, that is crazy, Brie Larson. And so I'm wondering what's going to happen there. I think it'll be fun. I'm very interested to see how that dynamic is going to work. I think I can almost kind of picture it in a way as a big sister, little sister relationship, and where Kamala Khan's like, oh my God, I fucking love you. And she wants to hang out with Cat Marm. She's like, she's kind of a little standoffish, but she warms up to her eventually, which I feel like would be a really fun dynamic chat, and maybe a nice kind of like defrosting of the very icy personality of Captain Marvel. I think that'd be good. I think it'll make her feel a little warmer. I think that'll be nice. So I can expect that. They'll be in some universe, planet-ending threat, and they got to work together. She's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm in a fangirl. She's in a fangirl, which I thought was very cute. Now, the other thing is, okay, it's confirmed, at least for right now, that in the 616 universe right now, like I know we had Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, we had Patrick Stewart and shit. But I'm saying the 616 universe of the MCU, it's confirmed that Miss Marvel is the first mutant that we know of, that is indicated to us. It's a mutation, because Bruno, who is a science man. He's Peter Parker. He's Spider-Man, everything but name. And he says, looking at your DNA, your dino DNA, your dinner, and I discovered in your dinner that you are a mutant. And it's like, whoa! And I was like, cool. And so how is that going to play a larger role into the future? Is she going to be like a representative of the mutant community? I think that'd be pretty fun. I think that'd be pretty cool, chat. Could we possibly see her as an X-Man? Like, there's a lot they could play around with, chat. Maybe not an X-Man, but an ally of the X-Man, chat. There's some interesting things. I know that some people were pissed off, that she wasn't Inhuman. But I'll tell you right now, the whole thing with the Inhumans, with that series, that TV series did not fucking help. And I know that in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they did a shit ton of Inhuman stuff, but they're like, that ain't canon. We're not doing that. And I know that, the Inhumans getting the shaft because of the sins of the past kind of sucks because, the comics, that's what she famously is. She's exposed to Terrigen Mist. That's why she has the powers she has. So we'll see. I do think Inhumans will come back. But the thing is, I understand what Marvel's doing at the same time. It's like no one knows who the fucking humans are. But everyone, and the people they do know, it usually people have a negative view on it, right? But the X-Men, mutant people are like, oh, that means the team, the X-Men. That means Wolverine. That means Nightcrawler. That means Magneto. Ooh, and they all get excited. And so I understand what they're doing with it. I understand, like, they made the executive decision to go, like, she ain't an Inhuman, she's a mutie, all right? And I get that, Chad. She's a mutie, and we'll see what happens. I'm very curious. I'm very, very curious how that's going to play out. I imagine it's going to be used quite well. I think it's going to be quite fun. Why would you call you or must be an Inhuman? That's a good point, Rocket Birdie. Oh, God. Maybe that, too. They didn't want to do that. That's fair. Oh, my Lord. I can't stop thinking about the poopy butt part of your Inhumans review. That was a good part. The poopy butt. Oh. Check out my Inhuman review, chap. Yeah, my second one is coming out very soon. Oh, but listen. Yeah, that's how I feel about the show. I feel like, they dropped the ball in some regards, but I feel like the character of Miss Marvel herself and a lot of her supporting cast of allies, they did right by them, and I want to continue to see them in the MCU, but they gotta, I feel like they really need to work on the superhero shenanigans and mythology and give her a better villain. And, I don't know. Maybe change her powers up a little bit. Maybe give them a new aesthetic because I wasn't really, some people didn't mind it. I wasn't really vibing with it, chap. But yeah, it's just on the DT scale and double scale. It's a matinee. It's a solid matinee, entertaining matinee. You're not wasting your time watching the show, and you're going to be introduced to a fun new character that I feel like a lot of people are going to like. But that's just how I feel. How do you guys feel about Miss Marvel?